All right, so today we're going to really dig into this AI playbook, right, for research and CRO and experimentation, all those things that help us look through all the data and figure out what customers are thinking and even how to improve our presentations.
Yeah, you're right on the money there. There's a lot of hype around AI these days.
Isn't there just?
But I think what's really neat about this playbook is that it gets right down to the practical stuff.
Yeah.
Like how can marketing and UX teams use AI to make their work better, to save time?
Yeah, and one of the first things that really stood out to me was this idea of prompting. That's like the playbook is saying how we talk to AI is just as important as the tech itself.
It is, yeah. It's like, imagine you've got a super smart research assistant.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just going to like throw a bunch of files at them and be like, go do magic, right? You give them instructions, ask them questions, make sure they're looking in the right places. That's prompting.
So it's not about like becoming some kind of AI whisperer, but more about thinking critically about what we want and then using AI to help us get there.
Yeah, exactly. And the playbook gives some really good examples of this. So say you're trying to figure out what your customers' biggest pain points are.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of just chucking all your feedback into some AI tool, you can ask it to do something specific, like make a table summarizing the problems and how often they come up. Boom. Targeted insights.
So much more useful than just a general summary. It's like AI doing the grunt work so we can focus on the big picture stuff.
Yeah.
But the playbook doesn't sugarcoat things either, right? It's not all AI will solve every problem.
No, it's very realistic about it. AI is a tool, a powerful one, but it's not a replacement for us.
We're humans.
Yeah. We still need to bring our own knowledge, our own thinking to the table.
So it's like AI gives you the ingredients, but you're still the chef.
Ooh, that's a good one. And it's so true. You still have to do the cooking. You can't just blindly trust what the AI spits out. You got to check the information, dig a little deeper.
That makes sense. Okay, let's get into some specifics about how to actually use AI. One that I was really interested in was outlining presentations. Who doesn't want a little help with that, right?
Right. It's a game changer. And the playbook lays out exactly how to do it. You give the AI some background, like who's the speaker, who's the audience, what are the main points, and it can suggest a title, a little summary, even the structure of your slides.
So you're basically giving the AI the same information you'd give to a colleague if you were asking them to help.
Exactly. And you can even go further. You can ask it to flesh out specific points, adjust the outline for different audiences, even generate a whole script.
Wow. Okay, what about actually making the slides? Are there AI tools for that too?
There are, yeah. The playbook mentions things like magic slides, which can take your outline and turn it into actual slides, like PowerPoint or Google Slides, with text and images and everything. It does have limitations, though. Like, some of them have limits on how many slides you can do for free.
Yeah, so you have to pick the right tool for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about market and product research, because I bet AI can be a big help for sorting through all that data.
It can, for sure. The playbook has some clever prompts for using AI to like figure out market trends, customer demographics, even what your competitors are doing.
That sounds super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But can it really replace traditional market research entirely? Should we all just ditch our surveys and focus groups now?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
The playbook is actually pretty cautious about that.
Uh,
AI can give you some amazing insights, but it's based on existing data, right? Which can be incomplete or even biased.
so you're saying, again, use AI to make your research better, not to replace it completely.
Exactly. Think of it as a starting point, a way to broaden your thinking and it maybe uncover some things you hadn't thought of before.
Now, this is where things get really interesting for me, competitor analysis. That's usually such a slow and painful process.
It is, yeah. But AI can really speed things up. The playbook gives you prompts for like generating lists of competitors, figuring out their strengths and weaknesses based on what customers say, even comparing features of different products.
So you can use AI to quickly find out the most important things about your competition.
Yeah, and you can even focus on specific things. Like you could ask it, what are the top problems people mention about this particular competitor's product?
Oh, that'd be helpful. But how much can you trust that information? I mean, can AI really be that accurate when it comes to competitor data?
It's a good question, and it brings up something really important about data sources. Like we've talked about, AI is only as good as the data it learns from.
Right.
And that data might not always be complete or totally accurate.
So don't take it as gospel, but use it as a starting point for your own investigation.
Exactly. The AI gives you an answer, but your job isn't done. You still have to think critically, double-check the information.
Okay, this is all so fascinating. But I'm curious about how AI handles customer feedback. I mean, online reviews can be all over the place with emotions and opinions. How does AI make sense of that mess?
That's where text summarization comes in. The playbook shows you how to use AI to summarize huge amounts of text, like hundreds of customer reviews, and pull out the main themes and the sentiment.
Oh, so instead of reading through all those reviews, you can have AI do the heavy lifting and tell you what people are really saying.
Exactly. And this can be huge for understanding those pain points, figuring out what needs to be improved, and even crafting your marketing message to really hit those points.
It sounds like a lifesaver for anyone who deals with a lot of customer feedback.
It can be, for sure. But the playbook also points out that summarization is just the first step. You still need to use your own judgment to really understand what customers are saying and how to address their needs.
Right, so AI points you in the right direction, but it's up to us to do the actual analysis and make decisions. Speaking of understanding customer feedback, I'm really intrigued by this whole sentiment analysis thing. Can AI really understand how people are feeling when they write a review or a comment?
It's a really fast-growing area, and the playbook shows you how to use AI to score customer feedback as positive, negative, or neutral.
Okay.
Imagine being able to quickly see the overall feeling from a ton of reviews.
That would be so useful.
Yeah.
But how accurate is it? I mean, can AI really pick up on sarcasm, for example?
Well, like with anything, there are limits. The playbook reminds us that AI sentiment analysis is based on patterns in language,
Yeah.
which don't always perfectly reflect human emotions.
So another case of AI is a helpful guide, but not the absolute truth.
Exactly. You still got to use your own judgment and consider the context.
Okay, let's talk about problem exploration and ideation. How can AI help us not just identify problems, but also think of solutions?
The playbook suggests a pretty cool approach. You start by feeding those negative customer reviews into the AI,
Okay.
and then you can zero in on recurring problems and even get AI to brainstorm potential solutions to test.
But wouldn't that limit our thinking to solutions based on existing feedback? What about those brand new, out-of-the-box ideas?
That's a valid point. The playbook addresses that by saying, use AI as a starting point, not the finish line. It's about sparking your own creativity, coming up with a range of possibilities, and then using your own expertise to develop those ideas.
So it's about using AI to jumpstart the brainstorming process, but not to shut down our own creativity.
Exactly. It's a partner in problem solving, helping you see things from new angles and maybe come up with solutions you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
This is all incredibly insightful. But what about staying current on the latest research and best practices? I mean, AI is changing so fast.
It really is. And the playbook introduces this tool called Cite, which is super useful for researching white papers and academic literature. Imagine being able to quickly find the most relevant research on a specific AI topic and even see how a concept has evolved over time.
Especially with AI, staying current is so important.
Yeah, and Cite does even more. It shows you whether other researchers have cited a paper positively, negatively, or neutrally, and it has tools to check if the references are even real. It's like a quality control system for research.
Okay, that's really impressive. Are there other tools out there like that, or is Cite the only one?
There are others, like Google Scholar, which has a huge database of academic stuff.
Uh-huh.
But Cite is different because it focuses on how research has been cited, so you can see how credible and impactful it really is.
This has been a great start. We've covered so much ground.
We have, yeah.
From prompting techniques to specific use cases, like outlines for presentations, market research, even understanding customer sentiment.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how much AI can help us be more efficient and do better work.
But we're just getting started, right?
Oh yeah, there's so much more to explore.
So stay tuned, because we're going to dive even deeper into the practical applications of AI and how to use it to do your best work.
You know, one area where AI can really help is UX writing, like writing content. It's something a lot of people find really tough, but AI can be a big help.
Oh, tell me about it. Writing good copy is hard.
Whoa.
So how does AI fit into that?
Well, this playbook is full of tips for using AI to write everything from catchy headlines for your landing pages, to email subject lines that actually get people to open your emails, even those little bits of microcopy, the little phrases you see on websites and apps.
So it's not just about like churning out generic marketing stuff.
Yeah.
You can actually use AI to write copy that's targeted and actually works.
Yeah, that's the whole point. The key is context. The playbook really emphasizes this. You have to think about what the content is for, who's going to read it, what kind of tone you want to use, even things like word count. The more information you give the AI, the better it'll understand what you're trying to do.
So it's like giving the AI a creative brief, just like you would with a human copywriter.
Exactly. And the playbook has some really good examples of prompts for different situations, like how to write a call to action that makes people click, or how to generate FAQs that answer your customers' most common questions.
Okay, so let's say I'm working on a landing page for a new product. How could AI help me with that?
Well, the playbook outlines a whole process for brainstorming different elements for the landing page, coming up with headlines and bullet points, even writing those introductory paragraphs. It can even help you figure out the language your customers are already using by analyzing their reviews and feedback.
So instead of just staring at a blank page, I can use AI to get some ideas flowing and create a basic structure for my page.
Exactly. You got it. And you can even use it to generate different versions of headlines and body copy, which you can then A/B test to see what works best.
That's a really smart strategy. What about those little bits of microcopy? Can AI really be helpful with something that small?
Oh, absolutely. The playbook gives examples of prompts for writing microcopy for all kinds of things, like form fields, error messages, even those little tool tips that pop up to help you. Even those tiny details can make a big difference to the user experience.
Okay, let's move on to email subject lines. Those are so important for making a good first impression. How can AI help us write subject lines that don't just get sent straight to the spam folder?
You're right, subject lines are crucial. And the playbook has a ton of great tips for using AI to write subject lines that grab people's attention and make them actually want to open your emails.
Okay, so let's say I'm promoting a webinar. How could AI help me write a subject line that stands out in a crowded inbox?
Well, the playbook gives you prompts for writing subject lines that are short and to the point, that are persuasive, and that highlight the benefits of attending the webinar. It also reminds you to think about things like the time of year and your audience's interests.
So instead of just saying webinar on AI, I could use AI to come up with something catchier, like unlock the power of AI, join our exclusive webinar.
Now you're talking. And just like with other types of copy, you can use AI to come up with a bunch of different subject lines and then A/B test them to see which one performs the best.
That's a great strategy. What about the actual content of the email? Can AI help with that too?
Of course it can. The playbook outlines a process for using AI to write engaging email copy. Things like those opening paragraphs that hook people in, bullet points that highlight the key benefits, and calls to action that make people want to click.
So I could basically give AI all the important details about the webinar and who I'm trying to reach, and it can help me write an email that actually gets people to sign up.
That's the idea, yeah. And again, you can have it write different versions and A/B test them to see what works best.
This is all so helpful, but what about getting feedback on our own writing? Can AI help us with that?
It can, actually. The playbook talks about using AI tools like Pi.ai to get feedback on your writing.
Okay.
You paste your text into the tool, and it'll give you suggestions like how to make things clearer, how to adjust the tone, even point out grammar mistakes.
So it's like having a virtual writing coach.
Exactly. And it can be super helpful for catching those little mistakes we all make when we're too close to our own work.
I know what you mean. What about longer content, like blog posts or even books? Can AI help us with that too?
Well, AI might not be writing the next bestseller just yet, but it can definitely help with outlining and structuring longer pieces.
Okay, let's say I want to write a blog post about, I don't know, the future of AI in marketing. How could AI help me turn that idea into a well-structured post?
The playbook suggests using AI to create detailed outlines.
Uh-huh.
It can generate those outlines for you, brainstorm chapter titles and subheadings, even come up with different narrative structures.
So instead of feeling overwhelmed by a big writing project, I can use AI to break it down into smaller steps and create a solid plan.
Exactly. You got it. And you can even have AI generate different outlines or introductions, which can help you find the best angle for your topic and your writing style.
This is all so empowering. It seems like AI can be a part of pretty much every aspect of content creation.
It's a really powerful tool. It can help us work faster, come up with new ideas, and create really high-quality content. But remember, it's still important to use our own expertise, our own judgment, and our own creativity to make sure the final product is really good and connects with our audience.
That's a great point. AI can be an amazing tool, but we have to use it thoughtfully and ethically. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about UX research. How can AI help us understand our users better and create designs that are truly user-centered?
This is where AI's ability to analyze tons of data really shines. The Playbook has a bunch of prompts and strategies for using AI in UX research, like analyzing interview transcripts or finding patterns in user feedback.
Okay, so let's say I just finished a bunch of user interviews for a new app I'm working on.
Okay.
How could AI help me make sense of all that data?
The Playbook suggests using AI to transcribe and analyze those recordings.
Okay.
It can identify key themes, summarize feedback, even generate reports for you. Imagine being able to quickly pull out the most important insights from hours and hours of interviews.
That would be amazing. But would that kind of take away from the human side of things? Can AI really understand the little nuances of how people talk and how they're feeling in the same way that a human researcher can?
It's a really good question, and it shows why it's so important to use AI as a support system, not a replacement. AI is great at processing data and summarizing things,
Yeah.
but it's still up to us, the researchers, to interpret those findings, to understand the context, and to draw meaningful conclusions.
So use AI to do the tedious parts, and then we can focus on the higher level thinking and decision making.
You got it. The Playbook talks about AI as a research assistant, helping you manage data, find patterns, even generate hypotheses.
Right.
But it's still up to us, the humans, to actually use those insights.
That's a really helpful way to think about it. What about creating research materials like interview questions or even user personas? Can AI help us with that?
It can, yeah. The Playbook is full of prompts for using AI to create those kinds of things. For example, you could ask it to come up with interview questions for a specific target audience, or to create a user persona based on your research data.
So instead of starting from scratch every time, I can use AI to get a head start.
Exactly. And then you can always make changes to those materials to fit your specific research goals.
This is great. What about actually doing the research? Can AI play a role in interacting with users?
Well, the Playbook talks about some new AI-powered tools that are coming out for UX research. Things like platforms that offer dynamic surveys or AI-driven interviewing. These tools could help us get insights from more people and even personalize the research experience.
So instead of being limited to traditional surveys or in-person interviews, we can use AI to reach a wider audience and tailor the research experience to each person.
Exactly. These AI tools are still pretty new, but they have a lot of potential for doing UX research in a way that's more efficient and engaging.
This is so fascinating. It sounds like AI can help with UX research in so many ways. From transcribing interviews to creating personas to actually interacting with users. Are there any downsides we should be aware of?
That's a great question. And it brings us back to that idea of thinking critically and carefully when we're using AI. AI can be an amazing tool, but we need to remember its limitations.
Can you give us some examples of those limitations? What should we be looking out for?
Well, one big thing is that AI learns from existing data. And that data might not always represent everyone equally. For example, if the data used to train an AI is mostly from one demographic group, the AI might not understand the needs of people from other groups.
That's a really important point. We need to make sure the data we're using to train AI is diverse and really reflects the users we're trying to understand.
Absolutely. And we also have to remember that AI can't replace the human element of UX research. It can help us process information and find patterns, but it's still up to us, the researchers, to interpret those findings and make decisions.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Right. Using AI to do what it does best, but also using our own human skills and judgment.
This has been a fantastic look at how AI can support UX research. We've covered so much analyzing interview transcripts, creating personas, even the future of AI-powered research tools.
It's been great, and it really shows how AI is changing the game for UX researchers. But just like with anything AI-related, we need to be critical and ethical in how we use it.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up this whole deep dive into the AI playbook, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What are some of the trends in AI that you're most excited about? What do you think the future holds for this field?
One thing I'm really excited about is multimodal AI.
Multimodal AI.
Yeah, it's a fancy way of saying that AI isn't just about text anymore. It can understand videos, images, websites, even audio, which opens up so many possibilities.
Okay, I can see how that would be a game changer. Can you give us some examples of how it's being used or could be used in the future?
Think about those session replay tools that UX researchers use, you know, the ones that record what people do on websites.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to multimodal AI, those tools are getting a lot smarter.
How so?
They can understand the context of the web page, what the person is interacting with, even their emotional cues. So we can pinpoint those pain points and figure out what needs to be improved with much more precision.
So we can actually see how people are experiencing our websites, not just what they're clicking on.
Exactly. And that's really valuable information for optimizing the user experience and getting more conversions. You mentioned A/B testing earlier. Multimodal AI is having an impact there too.
Really?
Yeah, A/B testing platforms are starting to use it to analyze experiments in a much more sophisticated way.
Uh-huh.
By understanding those subtle user behaviors, they can create richer data for training their AI models, which leads to better predictions and more successful experiments.
So AI is not only helping us run experiments, it's actually learning from them and getting better over time.
Exactly. It's a cycle of continuous improvement.
Okay, let's talk about chatbots and customer service. AI is already making a big impact there. How do you see it changing things in the future?
I think AI is already revolutionizing customer service. Chatbots are getting so much smarter, they can handle more types of questions and even offer personalized support. So businesses can provide 24/7 help, reduce wait times, and free up their human agents to deal with those more complicated issues.
It sounds like it could be good for both businesses and customers. But are there any risks we should be aware of as AI takes on a bigger role in customer service?
Oh, definitely. It's so important to design chatbots thoughtfully and ethically.
What do you mean?
Well, they need to be able to hand off to a human when necessary.
Right.
They shouldn't perpetuate harmful biases,
Hmm.
and they should always prioritize the customer's needs and experience.
So those are all really important points. One last question about the future of AI. We've seen so many new AI tools and platforms lately. What do you think the landscape will look like in a few years? Any predictions?
I think we'll keep seeing lots of new developments and experimentation, but as things settle down a bit, we'll probably see some consolidation too.
What do you mean?
Well, some tools will prove to be more useful than others, and we might see some companies buying each other out or merging as they try to integrate AI into their existing products.
So it's an exciting time to be working in AI.
It really is. And the best way to stay ahead is to keep learning, try new things, and always think critically and ethically about how we're using AI.
Well said. This has been a great deep dive into the AI playbook and what the future of AI might look like for marketing, UX, and experimentation. But before we wrap up, I want to make sure our listeners know how to find the playbook and learn more about your work.
Sure. You can find the AI playbook and all of our contact information on our website. We're also active on LinkedIn, where we share a lot of insights and updates about AI.
Fantastic. I encourage everyone to check those out. Now, before we go, I want to leave everyone with one final thought to think about. We've talked a lot about how powerful AI is, but, at the end of the day, it's humans that come up with new ideas. How can we use AI to help us be more creative instead of replacing us?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
I think it comes down to remembering that AI is a tool. It's not here to replace us.
Right.
The really exciting stuff happens when we combine AI with our own unique abilities. Things like creativity, critical thinking, empathy.
So it's about finding that balance where AI becomes like an extension of our own skill.
Exactly. Imagine AI taking care of all the boring, repetitive tasks,
Yes.
and we get to focus on the stuff that's really interesting and human-centered. That's the future I want to see.
That does sound pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But how do we get there? What can we do today to make sure we're using AI in a good way, a responsible way?
Well, I think the most important thing is to never stop learning. AI is changing so fast, we have to stay curious, keep experimenting, and be ready to adapt as the technology keeps evolving.
That's great advice. What about people who are just getting started with AI? What resources would you recommend?
There's so much information out there online, articles, tutorials, even free courses to get you started.
Wow.
And I'd also recommend connecting with other people who are interested in AI, attending webinars, joining online groups. The AI community is really welcoming and supportive. It's a great place to learn and share ideas.
Those are all great suggestions. Now, before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share about the potential of AI? Or any key takeaways from our discussion of this playbook?
I think the biggest takeaway is that AI isn't something out of a science fiction movie. It's here right now, and it has the power to completely change how we work and learn and create. But we have to use it wisely and ethically in a way that benefits everyone.
That's a really important message. So as we all explore this world of AI, let's remember to be curious, be responsible, and use this incredible technology to make things better for everyone.
Absolutely. The future of AI is full of possibilities, and I'm really excited to see what we can accomplish together.
And to all of you listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. We hope you found it insightful and maybe even got you thinking about some new possibilities. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.